That doesn't mean there are no servers. 1 million requests per every month is free for you. You create a function, you take that function into the cloud and deploy the function on the cloud. That's it. You guys are truly amazing. From the day I launched the announcement video, I was getting messages to my inbox asking different topic and subject me to talk about. But unfortunately, I already prepared the course for the serverless, so this time I'm going to hit with that. And also, you guys were asking some videos even before Christmas, and so I should listen to what you're asking. So this video I'm going to launch before the course, but as I said, the course will launch in like kind of other 2 weeks time. So by that time you need to have your own AWS account to keep in touch with the course. And also remember, I will only support 7 to 10 days from the launch of the video in personal support, right? If you need my in-person support, then talk to me or have chat with me, or like my personal support to you. You need to go with the course as I do. So you need to be ready with your own AWS account. Okay, so before diving into AWS, before diving into serverless world, we need to understand what the serverless is. So this video is me to discuss what is the serverless is, what is the magic behind this, why this is so important. So no need to say, please subscribe to my channel if you're not yet, and also find few friends who are interested on the topics and make them to subscribe to the channel as well. So for that, share the video. Okay, so I don't know which year you came into this industry, but if you've been in this industry for like 10-15 years, you may know about on-prem data centers. Those days we didn't have something like a cloud or something like a huge data centers to host our applications. So what we did is have on-prem data centers. So on-prem data center mean it's kind of a huge task, right? So you have to find a secure premises, you need to get the proper internet connection, you need to find a stable power supply, and then you need to buy own machine, own hardware boxes to your servers, right? So if you need a server, you need to find the spec, talk to vendors and get approval, find finance support, and then order it and bring it down and install things and get config. It's a huge task, right? So getting a server is not less than 30 days of work. So the next generation was like, you don't buy hardware boxes for each of your requirement, and then what you do is you buy a large capacity server, and then you install something like hypervisor on top of that, and you create VMs, right? So now you solve half of the problem. That means if you have, let's say, requirement for 10 servers, in a previous version you had to have a 10 hardware boxes. So that means you need to find hardware engineers, network engineers, administrators, and so on and so forth, and you need to install 10 operating system, patches install, security updates, and everything you need to take care of. Now you solve half of the problem. Now you have a 1 or 2 giant servers, and on top of that you have a hypervisor, and on top of that you have a VM. So now you don't need to find to maintain a people to 10 boxes, rather maybe 2 or 3 boxes, 2 hardware servers, but still you're carrying the problem of multiple operating system. You need to update patches, security updates, and everything you need to take care of. Not only that, if you need a VM, create a new VM and spin out and installing things may take like couple of hours. It's good, by the way, 30 days and taken down to a couple of hours. So next generation, like after 2013 with the Martin Holler's theory of microservices, and then Docker came out. Docker kind of an organization, and containerization came into the picture. So now we have something called Docker or Dockerization or whatever you call it. And what that does is it has its own operating system directory, its own system directory, its own IP address, its own set of ports, Not the MAC address always, it's a little different story, but it has almost rest of everything. So if you're not familiar with the Docker, so you have my video about the Docker, few videos actually, so you can go and watch those so you can get a better understanding about the Docker. Right, so now we have a Docker. So now if you need like kind of microservices, you have kind of let's say employee service, you need 10 instance from the same service, you just need to spin out 10 Dockers, right? So then it will take care of everything. So in between this Docker and the VM, there was an era you move everything into cloud, right? So we had on-prem data centers with the different hardware boxes. Then we got VM on-prem VM. Then we moved this VM into a cloud, right? If you take AWS, you have EC2. So now after this cloud generation, only you got this Docker thing, and now you solve the many problems. Now if you need a VM, you have to spend a few hours, but now if you need a Docker, you need to spend a few seconds, right? So within a few seconds, you can get a new Docker. So that means if you need employee service 10 instances, you just run 10 Dockers. But this is the nature of the life and the nature of the industry. You solve one problem, you create another problem. So you solve the Docker, you solve the one problem with the Docker. So now you need to introduce someone to manage the Dockers, right? So because if you like, I've been working with a system, may they have like kind of a 3,000 to 4,000 instances from the service, and altogether like 20,000 or Dockers are running. So it's a huge, right? So now you need to find a way to manage the Dockers. For that, you need either Kubernetes or either Docker Swarm or some sort of a clustering technology to manage the Docker. So that means still you're carrying some sort of a burdens. But we know we were developers, like kind of a free, fresh, fair developers. Then they combined the operation to us and converted us as a DevOps. Now we had to take care of certain operations. So serverless is a technology where you can keep this burden little away from you. So which means you don't need to worry about the Docker part. In other words, you don't need to worry about the server part. In other words, you don't need to worry about where this code being run, right? So that means serverless means you don't have to worry about the servers. That doesn't mean there are no servers. Keep that in mind. This is a very misconception, right? So they have a misconception saying there are no servers on the serverless world. No, there are servers, of course. To run things, you have to have a servers, but those servers are not managed by you. You have no idea where those servers are. You have no idea what are the specifications. You have no idea what are the security of the operating system. You just focus on your functionality. What you do is you create a function, you take that function into the cloud and deploy the function on the cloud. That's it. The cloud taking care of executing this function is on. So why this is very important? Why this is important to us as a developers? Okay, if you consider on-prem data centers, whatever you had, like your firewalls, your gateways, your proxies and everything, you can just take into the cloud, right? The only difference is if you have on-prem data center, if you ever been to on-prem data center, you will see bunch of racks with the routers and the gateways and the load balancers and everything are the hardware items. But now on the cloud, we have same things, but all are applications. We don't deal with any hardware, all those are applications, right? But it's a one-to-one mapping. Nowadays, applications are dealing and demanding, it's a huge performance. They need speed, they need scaling, they need a lot of provisioning. For example, 5 years back, if you're loading a browser and if you're waiting 10 to 15 seconds to load a web page, it's not a big deal. Right? If your web page is loading within 10-15 seconds, that's kind of a good speed to you. But now, when you open an app, when you open a web page, if that doesn't load within 5 seconds, you just close it and move away. Right? Why? Because you need the speed, you're demanding it. Right? So if you have on-prem data center, So supporting to this demanding speed and the performance, it will be a huge challenge, because let's say you launch a particular application expecting 10,000 users. In 2 years, this 10,000 users may grow up to 100,000 users, right? So now it's a 10% 10 time growth, right? So when your user base grow in 10 times, you need to upgrade your data center, right? This is kind of a nightmare because you need to invest a lot, right? The other option is you can either think for 100,000 users and build that data center upfront, but then you waste those resources up until you hit the 100,000 users, right? It's kind of either way, your life is not easy. But with the cloud, you can scale, provision everything within matter of seconds or the minutes to virtually unlimited, right? So today you have 10,000 and tomorrow they're demanding 100,000. Okay, let me to give you that. And next day they're demanding 1 million. Okay, let me to give you that, right? So only the matter is you have to pay, but other than that, the provisioning is virtually unlimited. So that is the beauty of the taking things into cloud. So now when you take into things to cloud, if you have a Docker cluster or Kubernetes or anything, so this provisioning may not easy as you think, because you need to take care of creating new instances, or they putting into the elastic cluster, so many things. But moving things to serverless, you don't have to worry about anything. You just need to worry about write your function in exact way it's supposed to be, and server will take care of running it, right? Since this is a function you are creating on to run, you need to take care of so many things and so many best practices. Those are the things I'm going to cover with practical in my course, right? But we can catch over there. But for now, just think, you just create the function and you don't have to worry anything else. Servers, performance, processors, memories, nothing, right? Everything will taken care of by your cloud. And also, if you take a on-prem data center, we discussed the cost, and even if you take into the same mapping into the cloud, if you have a 5 servers in your on-prem data center, if you create a 5 servers in EC2 instances on your cloud, still they get billed, because usually instances are get billed for hour, right? Even if you use 1 minute, they bill for you for hour. If you use 61 minutes, they bill you for 2 hours, right? So if your system is just working on business hours, like kind of 8 hours, then either you have to manually or automatically shut down and start up all those your instances. Otherwise, they will bill you for 24 hours, which is the idle time. But when you move into the serverless world, you only pay for what you use, right? That's amazing, right? You only pay for what you use. If your system is down for like 1 month, like this corona period, right? So this COVID situation, most of systems are kind of being idle, right? So they don't have a traffic they usually had. So in such situation, in things like a serverless is very important, because you don't pay because you don't use it, right? So that's really amazing. And specifically in AWS, I'm not aware about the other pricing models. In AWS, 1 million requests per every month is free for you, right? So most of your systems can rely with this free 1 million requests if you don't have a huge traffic demand. So in summary, serverless is a beautiful thing, which is kind of a next level of microservices. Keep in mind, serverless and microservices are two different domain, right? So microservices architecture, serverless is kind of a technology. You can implement microservices on top of serverless. That's what you're going to do. You can implement microservices on top of serverless, right? So that being kind of this extended course for microservices what we had, but rather Docker, we are taking that microservices onto the serverless. So as I said, you need to do a few things. One, you need to have a AWS account with you, because then you can follow with me, because first 7 to 10 days I'm going to give in-person support to you. In-person support means not being in person, but I'm going to reply to you all your questions and the comments and everything. The second, Since we work with Java on our previous microservices course, this course I'm going to use Node.js as a programming language. So what you can do is, I have a few videos about the JavaScript you must know. If you go through all those 3 videos, that's it. You don't need anything extra. Just do some Node.js basic few examples, but throughout the course I'm going to teach you the Node.js as well. Not kind of an expert level, but as much as you need, because serverless most popular thing is Node.js. But yeah, you can do serverless with Java, so no problem with that. But I'm going to do with the Node.js. So if you can follow with me with the Node.js, but if you're Java, you think Node, I hate Node, welcome, you can follow the same course with the Java as well, so there's no problem with that. So then stay tuned, be ready, we'll catch you soon. Let's join for the journey of serverless.